Nice and clear.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Then I suppose we're okay to start this Connect to Value today. First of all, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Enrique, and today with me I have Miguel and João from the technical department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us here. So this is first edition of Connect to Value, more dedicated to, I would say, to the UK, but also to the European market, so English spoken. And this would be today dedicated to RAINSCREEN cladding facade, and one big query and one big topic that is this one and single weatherproofing system for the facade. Okay, and we'll go through this and understand what are the main issues and advantage that we can take from this topic. First, still before entering on the topic, I would like you just to be familiar with the chat that you may have available on your side bar. So you are free, and I welcome you to comment and to put the question that you find the need to put. So we'll be here, and I'll ask my colleagues if I need to help me giving you a sustained answer to all your questions. Okay. So please feel free and make this interactive because we'd appreciate that this way. So what's the main question, I would say, that we are launching here today? What's the importance of having an entire single complete weatherproofing solution for your RAINSCREEN cladding? Okay, I suppose that many of you are already familiar with the main layers, with the main items that a facade or RAINSCREEN cladding is composed of, but we'll take a look deeper into that and understand how we can have it as a full and one single system. Okay, just for you to understand, maybe some of you are already quite aware of this, but just for you to understand how we approach the market at Effisus. So this is what we call a standard market approach. So we have the need from the market. We have so the customers let us know what they need, or let the factory know what they need, and the factory just produce according to that single requirements, or in one way dialogue. We understand that the best way to achieve a solution that is adapted to the needs is to make this interactive. Okay, so it's not only getting details or information from one side, is making this exchanging this information between all the parties involved. So we receive information, but we also discuss this with the client, and that's why we have this approach very close to the client with the meetings at the office, etc. So just to close this overview about the company, we have this interactive behavior. We are in contact with several players in the facade industry, and of course facade contractors, consultants, architects, insurance companies, but all the players that we believe that influence the market, and we are glad to be part of that. So just to have a background for this presentation, I'll be focusing on the European climate, okay? Because we know that when we are designing a facade, we can, so there's several things that we need to take into account, and now I'll be focusing in the European climate, but of course we are able to design and to study for every climate available. So, well, what do we have in the European climate? We have normally cold outside and warm on the inside. So we eat the inside and we transpirate, etc. So we have also rain on the outside that we need to keep, of course, outside the facade. And if we go and look a little bit deeper on the facade layers, if we're talking about the rain screen cladding, we'll see something like this. So we have a back wall, an insulated, thermal insulated back wall, and we have the cladding with a ventilated area, so to allow the facade to ventilate. And about the vapor, okay, so normally this comes, so the vapor diffusion is from the warmer side to the cooler side. So we'll have it more or less this way. But if we need to waterproof the facade from the outside, and this is regarding to liquid water coming from the rain, we'll put here a membrane, for instance, so just on the outside of the cement particle board or the silicate calcium board, and we'll have here a waterproofing solution. But in case this waterproofing membrane is also vapor tight, we'll have this issue. So the vapor that was previously free to go to the outside is now blocked here and will be stuck exactly on the cooler surface of the back wall. So we'll have once the vapor reaches the cold surface, it will condensate, it will turn into liquid, and of course it will be stuck in there. It cannot be ventilated, so it will be there creating mold and other issues that will of course compromise the thermal insulation behavior. You know that the wet thermal insulation is not an insulation that is performing well. So we really can't have it like this. And what's a possible solution is obviously to open this membrane to the vapor. Okay, so still waterproof. The water coming from the rain is still blocked, but the vapor that's trying to go out the building, it will not be blocked by this membrane, and it will be free to go out. Okay, so it's more or less what a breathable membrane, or the idea of having a breathable membrane in here. What we can also have in order to keep this insulation dry and highly efficient is to provide a VCL, so a vapor control layer on the inside, on the warmer side of the insulation, and so the vapor is never able to cross the insulation and to reach the cold surface of the wall. And so this way we'll have all-time dry insulation acting as expected. And also, I can still have that if we have a facade like this in a climate like this, we'll also be able to create a kind of ventilation channel within the facade. So all the water that for some reason, even during construction, you can imagine that during construction, you have to apply this by layers. So there will be the time that is the insulation exposed to the weather, or so you'll have many ways of getting water inside the facade before coming with the breather, with the breathable membrane. So this way you have the chance to let the facade dry. Okay, that humidity will not be stuck in there. And so also I can tell you that in the case there's a change on the weather, so the warmer side becomes the outside, and you have some vapor diffusion trying to get inside the facade. You'll also have this ventilation, so you'll have the VCL blocking the vapor, but you have this capability of the facade to breathe and to ventilate. Okay, this is more or less what I would like to share with you within the European climate, just to understand the composition of the facade. I'll be talking further. Okay, here we have some examples of I would say, extremely or extreme common faults, common problems. And Miguel, if you don't mind, I would like just to ask you just to comment a few pictures in here. I have two slides here to show.
Yeah, sure, Enric. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, Enric, you know, it's basically we are so close to the clients, and you know, we see a lot at site. We see a lot of problems. So when this facade composition, it's not well designed or wet, or it's not well applied at site, we see problems, and we see in general the membranes are quite okay in general. UK market in general, in Europe, the membranes are applied for the last 20 years, but we see problems. We see problems on details, on the design faults. So there are a lot of, because it's not only a membrane, it's a membrane with accessories, with a lot of substrates, a lot of compatibilities. So it looks quite simple when we are putting a line on a drawing, but at site we see problems, and a lot. So we see adhesion problems, we see materials that that they are applied not for the main application. So so we see breather membranes completely not on the right place, and we see in the end mold grow. We see insulation really deteriorated. You know, we see, and then it will affect obviously it will compromise the facade efficiency, the insulation. So and you know, it's we see that a lot, workmanship, you know, details. So in general, details. And I believe that today we will try to show you what are the problems, as well as what could be the solutions. So here I could explain, there are some sheeting boards, you know, we have scaffolding penetrations, we have sometimes the sheeting boards without sealing, and then in the end it's a nightmare when we see, you could imagine easily what could be the consequences. So so, and there are a lack of support, and a lack of knowledge, if I say knowledge, with the problems and problems at site. So so it's, yes, Enrique. So I don't know if...
Okay, thank you very much, Miguel, for sharing this with us. Um, Now, so we have the climate, we have the common problems, but what can we do to avoid these problems? And so I have here, um, so I will go across the main segments in our company that we focus and that we develop, that where we have the most advanced technology at your service. So first, I would like to focus on the breather technology, okay, and this would be, of course, the outer layer, as we were seeing in the previous slide. Then we have the vapor technology also available, and then we have inside each division we have different options, saying that each option will best service a specific need or requirement. So the most important thing to share is that we have different knowledge, but also different technology available, and we can put it into, or we can use it in order to get to the project the solution. Not the best. There's not a best of the best. That's the best for the project. So we'll look into the project and we'll find the best solution. So again, breather, vapor, EPDM, interfaces. So we have previously looked in a simple way the facade with an outer and an inner layer, but we know that many times the problem is still on the interfaces. So we cannot say that we have a full weatherproofing system if we are only looking to the breathable membrane and the VCL membrane. So we need also to have this coordinated between them and between the windows, between the roofing, between all the different materials. We know that sometimes we have projects where we have to play with RAINSCREEN and curtain wall, for instance, and so we need these transitions well done. And so we have this technology. We are available to look into the details and to get the best solution. And we also can add to these three this prefabrication technology, where we can bring and take advantage of this previous technology and produce bespoke solutions that are produced specifically for the project, for the needs. But most of the time, the most important thing to highlight in here is that we'll save time and human error, because you have a solution that is performed for that specific issue, and of course you will improve quality, efficiency of the facade and of the whole building. So these four divisions are supported by our consulting department, and so as I already said, we are available, and we try to be the most present we can in order to get all the details that we need in order to advise and to recommend the best solution for your facade and for your project. João, I will help you. I will just ask you your help just managing with the chat, because I have some difficulties. If you find some questions, please.
Yeah, we just have one question here from Ben. He said if we have a certification for these membranes, and if we can also provide EPDM membranes. So yes, Ben, we have a certification for all of our membranes, including breather VCL, and we are also able to provide EPDM membranes. I will talk about this later in this presentation. We pretty much can do everything with EPDMs. Okay.
Thank you, João. As well, I'll ask you to manage the chat if you don't mind, because I'm finding here some difficulties. Okay.
Sure.
So within the system that we can provide to the market for RAINSCREEN cladding facade, in a simple way, we have the things that we spoke before here in this presentation, in this 3D model. So it's the breather outside the insulation layer, then we come with the VCL on the inside, as already said, and so. And Effisus ECOFACADE, so it's the interfaces between the windows, between the roofing and the breathable membrane, for instance. So we'll first go into the breathable technology and the breathable membrane, and I've just put in here an image taken from the CWCT manual, but it's more. So this is an open discussion. This is there's not a right way to do the things in all the projects. There's a common query. So we need to look into each project, and we need to understand where's the correct place where's the correct location to place a breathable membrane, for instance. And so here we have, for instance, from the CWCT, just saying that we have different options and different possibilities of placing the membrane. Here we are just looking at the performance that is intended, or the things that we need to care when we're talking about the breathable membrane. Miguel, if you don't mind just sharing some topics here.
Enrique. Yeah, as Enrique was showing on the scheme on the beginning of the presentation. So basically, I believe that you know the main product features, but I'll try to pick up the main points. So it's a membrane that the main function, it's protecting the interior of the facade against the driving rain and moisture. So we protect. So we ensure that we'll not have addition of water or a leak on a facade, or on the top of the roofing that will have a poor intersection. So we ensure that we have a skin all around the facade scheme, all around the facade composition, that we are protecting the full building. And this membrane protects the facade against moisture, against even the wind. Sometimes we have the rain screen cladding with open joints that we have wind. And wind, we know that there are pressure, and pressure with water, we might have, these membranes are allowing that we don't have water inside of the insulation. It also depends on the facade, depends on the rain skin typology. We might have a UV and not, or we might have a membrane that could take more UV light than the others. So the breathers in general, it is for protecting the insulation for the rain, moisture, and wind. And another thing that it's really important is, if any water inside the insulation, or if any water vapor, we allow on the summer seasons that this water vapor migrate from the interior of the facade into the exterior. So we allow in the end to have always the insulation really dry, allowing, we have the durability and in the end the efficiency of the insulation. So if we have insulation wet, and so it will not perform. So it will not perform, and then in some short period of time, we'll have the insulation completely in a bad shape. Yeah,
and that's not what we want.
yeah.
So thank you, Miguel. I was just I'm just going to take advantage of this picture here, where you can see lots of brackets already installed. So of course these brackets will be needed to fix and sustain the cladding. But this allows us to go to a very interesting question, that is, those bracket ceilings,
Correct.
how are they sealed, or if they are sealed? So we are just screwing the membrane everywhere, and this happens in every rain screen cladding. We'll have to fix the cladding to the substrate. So we'll have to screw and to make holes in the membrane from the top to the bottom. So we have here some options. Right, João, I don't know if you want to share with our audience just what we can add to these specific points here, leakage specific points.
Yeah. Okay, Henrique. So as you're saying, pretty much when the breather membrane, in this case, is fixing to the board or any type of substrate, it has to have this type of brackets, as you see either in this black and the white membrane one. So for specific these points, we have a tape which is part of a system. When we talk about full envelope or full waterproofing system, we have a specific tape to apply on the brackets itself. So it's a sealing tape that it's completely watertight, and we're sure there would have no leak in a specific point in this type of perforation as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, João. I think maybe you'll have the chance later in next Connect to Value to explore a little bit deeper this very interesting query about this sealing of this very singular point. Thank you, João. So if you move forward, we'll find here some guidance, some way of understanding what's the best breathable membrane within our portfolio in order, or that will best suit your needs, your project needs. In here we have so 5 types of breathable membranes all available, and we have this very I would say in a very simple way with just a few performances or characteristics of the membrane, but others also exist. And so again, and taking also words from Miguel, they were highlighting the need of understanding, for instance, if the joints are open or not, if we have direct exposure to UV or not. We need to understand these details. We need to get these details. Sometimes this seems, it seems that it's all the same in every project. That's not the thing. Our experience tells us that every project may need a different product. So we need, and we really like to go into details and to understand this. Just because it's an easy thing to understand. We have fire class behavior and fire class performance according to the EN 13501 until so up to A2 S1B0. So it's the best you can get in terms of the flexible membrane.
Allow me just read one question here, also from Ben. Ask if you have A2 fire rated VCL. So you're just talking about the breather, as we have a A2. So we do also have a A2 VCL. And he also asked if it's what type of accessories should I choose to be also fire resistant. So talking specifically about our membrane, one important fact I think it's to mention here is it tested with accessories. So adhesives and including the tapes itself is all A2. So not only the membrane, but we tested separately, including the accessory as well, and it achieved A2. So specific for our case, our whole system or accessories is A2.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and I suppose the best answer was given. So it's Ben, right? Wrong, Ben.
Yeah.
So Ben, this is the best you can get. So you have not only the membrane but the full system test. You can just, if you are an architect or a consultant and you want to specify the product, or if you are a facade contractor and want to provide to your client the best solution available in the market, if we're talking about fire, and again, we need to look at every characteristic, but if we're talking about fire, we have here a solution that is tested with all accessories included. And we can also tell that, for instance, the tape that Joao was explaining in the slide before, the 2-bond DS tape for the ceiling bracket perforation, that tape is also included in this test. So it's part of the system. And this also helps us going through this idea that I would like to share with you today of the whole complete enclosed system. Okay, no open spots, no open to the screws, no open to the interfaces. So all clear and all closed and all managed by one single entity and one single partner in this case. Okay, I'll go then to the VCL, and thank you, Joao. Please feel free to interrupt me as we're going to have more queries. So now going to the VCL, again, just some shots from the CWCC manual. Okay, we can also play with the membrane in this position. You know that there are different software also available for these assessments. Miguel, again, as I asked you to
Thank you, Enrique. Yeah, in the other way, so we have the VCL. Enrique already introduced the characteristics or the features that we need to have. But basically, it's a vapor barrier. So we know well the advantage to have a blocking VCL barrier. So we allow that in one direction we don't have any addition of vapor to the insulation. So again, another important characteristics, it is their tightness. So general VCL, it is also airtight, and then we are ensuring the efficiency of the facade. And you know, it's this is the main features: air tightness and vapor barrier. And in case that even there are a fire, we allow, take into consideration this air tightness, that we don't have smoke. We don't have smoke through all the facade. So if we ensure that we have a facade airtight, and we know that we don't have addition of toxicity or even the smoke. So so it is, I'll repeat, it's a vapor barrier, air tightness, and we allow, or we contribute to have a blocking on the fire and in the toxicity. And you know, perforations, there are a lot of perforations on the gypsum board. So we have MEP, you know, we have a lot. We have a lot of perforations, openings, and we ensure that if it's well sealed, we have blocking, a blocking, like I say, blocking membrane that we separate from the exterior. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Miguel. I was just remembering one question that I hear a lot when I'm assisting our clients just in their offices.
Okay.
That is regarding the vapor permeability of the VCL, because sometimes, even being a VCL, they have some, so they would like to be to have clarified the value of the vapor permeability, because sometimes even a VCL seems to have a low value for the needs of the project. And I think in our case, you can of course confirm this to everyone, but I think in our case we have very high values in this, right?
Right. So it depends. So it's depends on the composition of the raw materials of each membrane, but there are a lot of the vapor resistivity. It depends. So we might have 500. We could have even 1,000. So and EPDM. So there are a lot. So I believe that we should look at it as a one picture. It needs to work in conjunction with other membranes, with insulation, with even the condensation risk analysis. So it needs to work as a one single facade, one single body, if I say so.
Yeah.
So yes. So there are a lot of possibilities in terms of vapor resistivity. Yes.
Yeah, because for instance, 1,000 is very much higher than the current VCL, no?
Correct. So in general, standard VCL is around SD value around 100. So 500.
Okay.
So it is, yes, there are a lot.
Okay. Clarified. Thank you, Miguel. Okay, so if we move also to this table, we see that we have different VCL available. And again, we can play with some characteristics. And again, we have, as João already clarified, we have an A2S1D0 VCL system. All tapes, all fixing tapes, all overlapping tapes, all sealing perforation tapes are included in this assessment, in this test. And so also paste adhesive. So we have more than one option, for instance, to seal and to fix the membrane. We can play with these accessories according to the substrate that you have on your project. Sometimes concrete, sometimes is metal, sometimes it's another membrane, and sometimes are other membrane involved, and that's another query that maybe we'll have the chance to discuss as well. But so it is important to have this system closed and certified as we have, but it is important also to have the chance to play with other elements involved on the facade. So that's the point in this full system. João, any question? No.
So far, no. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, thank you very much. But please, people, give us your feedback on this. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. So Effisus EcoFacade. Effisus EcoFacade. It's our membranes for the interfaces. so this is more or less what we can get in terms of EPDMs. Well, do you like just to give us some words on this?
Yeah, so picking up the question from Ben again, regarding EPDM, as I mentioned, we're able to do everything. So just start up like a standard rows, different widths, different dimensions, and can go to unlimited widths. We also able to include self-adhesive bands, which would help during the application. This is grade 1, 2, up to 3, depend of the project requirement. We can add as many bands as possible as well on EPDMs. We also do clipping gasket. We have like over 100 in our portfolio registered type of gasket, which you will attach to the window profile. One thing interesting to mention about the clipping gasket is because we have this technology we call hot vulcanization, which will allow the gasket attached to the EPDM in a perfect bonding way. So it's very strong. It's nothing as a common market. They're doing just attach like adhesive or something like that. It's something else. We're also able to do prefab corners, prefab frames, whole frames for the window, and then 3D types of pieces, which is totally customizable. And yeah, full customization on EPDMs.
Yeah, I will take advantage of your last step. So this is really full customization, right, João?
Yeah. So here, if you see in this piece we made for a project in Madrid, very well known. We made this type of X and Y shape piece using EPDMs. To do this as site, I think we all know it would be a mess. It would be a completely mess because it would sort of be like a cut and glue situation when the guy would have like the worst condition to apply this EPDM and this interfaces. And here, one thing about interest to mention is we pick up this detail in an early stage, we study, and then we made a mock-up, we go to the site, we test it, and the most important thing is to assure the PDM will perform. So the whole purpose of the PDM and having a PDM in these hyper interfaces in other situation when you just have to cut and glue, in the end it will be just like a ball of adhesive. And we don't want that situation. We want that to be very clean and very sleek, so it could be performed as well as a PDM.
Yeah, as we're just seeing in this picture, it seems very clean. So I suppose the adhesive is behind the membrane, so we don't have to leave it like a mess. So thank you, João. Just to clarify, this of course is not a RAINSCREEN cladding installation, but I found it interesting to share because this, as you know, this also happens on RAINSCREEN cladding. You have different difficult corners, for instance, to deal with. Every time you have a window, you have to cut and overlap a PDM membrane or others in order to guarantee that that corner, that specific and difficult and challenging spot is correctly done. And it, as João was saying, sometimes you just see a ball of adhesive. You don't see even the membrane. It's hard to see in there because they just covered with adhesive everywhere, and so it's impossible to guarantee that that detail, that specific detail, is well performed. Yeah. So I'll just move forward in here.
Let me just read a couple of questions we have here before we move forward. So we have a question from Mar saying, how do we waterproof the membrane penetrations? Do we have a solution for this? As I mentioned, Mar, we have a specific tape for that with the Effisus 2 Bond DS. If you need more information about that, I absolutely can share this with you. You just need to leave your comment, your contact at the comment section. Notice this will be private and not be shared in the chat. Another thing, another question from Carlos: what should I do to get in contact with you? We have a project and we'd like to speak about this. Again, Carlos, we're more than glad to help you. Just leave your contact there at the comment section as well. Enrique will show his contact in the end of the section. You can just contact him as well. Sanders, how do you create these pieces? Are the connection vulcanized? Yes, Sanders. So we have, as I mentioned, this connection of the piece to PDM is vulcanized, and assure the joints will be very, very, very strong.
Thank you, João.
I think so. I don't know. Probably are the connections vulcanized? So I believe that I don't know, Sanders. I believe that was trying to
I don't know
understand
if you mentioned, yeah,
the technology behind it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So so I believe that Sanders were asking in regards to vulcanization, how we create these pieces. So it's a technology. So if you allow me to say that it's a high technology that we use. Depends on the pieces shape or depends on the pieces dimensions. We might have one or two options, but what I would like to summarize, it is factory made, and it's using hot vulcanization. So in the end, so we are cutting and vulcanizing as a single piece. So we don't have weak parts or corners or glues, nothing more. So we have like a one single product, EPDM in this case, but could be another product. Yes. So it is hot vulcanized, prefab, pre-made at factory.
Okay. And here in this slide, we have exactly this. So this, for instance, this is a very specific situation where we were asked to provide a solution to waterproof this connection with a facade. And of course, you can easily understand that here we have very difficult and narrow access to the sheet that we have on the back of the wall, and so this is a very this would be a very difficult job to have to do if we were playing with standard membranes. Okay, so but I would like to bring this to the whole subject that we are here discussing. One single system. Okay, so I would like I'm just sharing this information because I really would like for you to get from today that we are able to play the full game. Okay, it's not only Riddle, it's not only VCL, it's not only PDM, it's not only perforations, penetration. So we have all this as a full system. Okay. And so I will not take too much time in here, but just for you to understand that we really look into the details and will help you designing and defining what are the best solutions and even what are the best accessories to be considered in your project design. Okay, and this is just some things that we normally ask. For instance, you can see mentioned for the compatibility test. I think you'll also have the chance to speak a little bit better in other sessions of the connective value, but we always ask for samples when we don't have history on the compatibility between our own system and our own solutions with other solutions. Of course, if we're dealing within the same system, we don't have these issues because we are in full control and full knowledge of the compatibilities of our own interfaces. So if we're dealing with our own solutions, we don't have these compatibility issues. And then site visit and practical training. Yeah.
Picking up this topic as well about consulting technical support, we have a question here from Sanders asking if are we doing waterproofing design? So what we do is exactly this. What you see here in the slide is just the client send us a couple of standard drawings, and we help them and just show where the membrane should be applied, including all the accessories and fixing and everything. Not specific waterproofing design, but more from a conceptual way from the design to help the client.
Yeah, and please involve us as earlier as you can. Okay, there's no problem in getting involved in the project too early. Okay, we do like to follow the evolution of the project, and we know that normally maybe this happen on design stage 4. No, Miguel, more or less stage
correct.
4, I think.
Yeah.
And so we are able to study this from the beginning with you, because when we're dealing, for instance, with bespoke solutions, this is something that the more time that you have, the best solution will be, because we will attend and we will take into consideration all the requirements of the project. And so please don't hesitate in getting us involved in your project. So again, just I'm just sharing this because I found some interest, that you may be interested in getting some ideas on the connection and interfaces between materials. Okay, this is one big topic that we are discussing here today. These interfaces between materials are maybe the most important thing when we're playing with a one single and full system. Okay, you have all these secured. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, Enrique, but here it's visible the complexity of accessories and membranes, and we see a lot of products, primers, substrates, and here we see a lot. So I believe that picking up the main subject for today, we see a lot of membranes and accessories and substrates. So it allows us, when we have one single provider or a single design, it allows us to work as a single solution, a single design. So we don't have design faults, or we reduce the design, or so. And I think here it shows a lot of complexity in terms of materials and substrates. And correct?
Yeah, truly. Okay. So again, the importance of having one single system, and to be able to manage all this. So again, more details. It's just to show some compatibility reports that we've done, some assistance that we provide to the supporting documents that we provide to the site. Some details that we see, you can see on the small picture on the right. So just next to the green tape, you have the back of the bracket, and you can see that there's a tape between the membrane and the bracket. That's the 2-bond DS tape that we were discussing before. And so just going already to the main advantage, I would say, main conclusions that we can take from here. So if we think in everything that we discussed today, we all, of course, will be talking about compatibilities. Okay, this compatibility problem will be avoided and ensured. You won't have any problem when trying on site to connect one membrane to the other. You won't have any problem when on the design stage trying to understand if you can play with that membrane and the other's membrane. So you are fully covered, and you are with the certainty that will behave as expected. And then, so one weatherproofing design solution, of course, the warranty. This is important. You have different warranties from different suppliers. No, okay, here we are working as a system. There's no gray zone of what they're responsible for which part or which connection. Okay, this is one single partner in the weatherproofing solution. And so, of course, less errors at site, improving the facade installation. So if you have all covered from the beginning, you'll find yourself at site with a very easier job to perform. And then this idea of the single interlocutor is really important, because we are here talking about design and about compatibilities, but there's other things involved, and mainly for the facade contractors, this is the main topic: logistics, commercial, financial, technical. So everything is together. We have dedicated teams to the UK market, for instance, commercial, technical, financial, logistics. So we have this setup ready to help you on this as a full team, as a one team as well. And so it's just sharing that we have some articles. I really like to share this with you today in the first session, because maybe you like to go through these articles on our website. And as already said, we are here leaving with you our contacts. This is my contact, so email and phone number. And so please feel free to give me a call, send me an email, get in touch, because I'll be more than happy to assist you with in your queries. I think this is all for today. João, is there any pending question? No, or answer?
No, there's no pending question. I would just like to say that we'll continue with these Connective Valley sessions during the upcoming weeks. So different thematics, different topics that we can discuss here daily. And that's it. Thank you for watching our presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Miguel and João, for being with me here today. And thank you everyone for attending, and see you in next Connective Valley.